The video for July the 6th, 2017 is entitled The United States Peace Flag. Last night, about an hour before the fireworks began in earnest, they released a bunch of balloons or something that flew flags across the sky from south to north. I commented on Facebook that they were the United States war flag that we are very familiar with, because it is the one we normally see. However, most people do not know that the United States actually has two flags, the second one being a peace flag. On that one, the red and white stripes are vertical rather than horizontal, and the colors are reversed on the field of stars representing the individual states. I was questioned about this and replied again on Facebook. What may be unknown or not thought about is that the United States has been at war throughout its history. There have only been 2 years, it is said, where we were not at war with someone, and in more recent times we seem to be at war with the world. It is not fitting nor proper that we should be like this, but it is true, nevertheless. And in that last sentence, it is not fitting or proper. Of course, I go from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, where he said it is altogether fitting and proper that we should dedicate a resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. That nation, as I said, the United States, has been the war nation. And we were that before we were even founded. We were at war with the natives that lived on the land that we called Indians. That really wasn't what they were, but that's what we Europeans called them. And we have been at war ever since. I mean, before the nation was even founded, when it was still colonies, they were always fighting, because war is the European way, or you might say it's the way of man. But man, what kind of man? Ignorant man, mankind that doesn't know what it is, who it is, why it's here, man that has been forsaken by God. Of course, some people would say, no, we were the ones that forsook God, but I see it the other way, because God is supposedly the one that's omniscient and omnipotent, the one that has everything, that knows the end from the beginning, and has everything supposedly under some kind of control, although I, of course, question that. In any case, we humans have been a warlike race, if you will, and some say there's more than one race, and there does appear to be more than one race, and I'm not talking about Negro and Caucasian and Mongoloid races. They're the three main races that we identify with, but there's also extraterrestrial races that seem to be present on the planet and have made themselves known from time to time throughout human history, with the elongated skulls and all that stuff. But in any case, back in the, the centuries are always like the 1700s or the 18th century. I tend to get that backwards. To me, the 2000s should be the 20th century, for example, but that's not the way they do it. They do it the reverse. It's always the 2000s are the century before. So it's after the 21st. This is the 21st century. To me, should be the 20th century. But anyway, that's another whole subject. But the flags, the peace flag actually exists. I mean, you can Google it, although it's not easy to find. I did Google it myself, and only one reference gave the history of the peace flag. Most references gave the peace flag as a normal United States flag with somebody holding two fingers up, peace. You know, that's not the peace flag, folks. The peace flag looks, as I said, just like the regular flag, except the stripes are vertical instead of horizontal, and the stars are blue on a white background. So the colors are the same, but not in the same arrangement and order. So, folks, what do you want to see happen on this planet? Do we not realize that the reason we've been at war, and now I'm talking about the world in general, the reason we've been at war is because beings that are less than honorable, less than righteous, less than honest, have perpetuated war because it is said they exist off of the energy. Their food, if, as it were, is the energy that is created by conflict, by war, by anger, by the negative emotions that we emit when things fall apart in our lives and in our world. And this is their food. Now, this is, you know, a complete anomaly to me. I don't understand it. I mean, to me, I think that we would thrive much more on peace and be able to accomplish much more by working together than always fighting against each other. But that's not the world we know about. That's not the world we live in. And my vision, and the vision of many of us as we are awakening, is to shift our world from being a warlike planet to being a planet at peace. And there needs to be a tremendous awakening that takes place before that can actually occur. Before we can actually experience peace on earth, we have to change the way we think. We have to change the way we see things. We have to change to a place where we don't see other as separate from ourselves, but we see that we are interconnected, that we all spring from the same source of life, as it were, the same creative juices that flow through everything flows through us and connects us one to the other. I mean, I'd like to see a world where we didn't have to eat, where we could just simply breathe, and the breath of life would sustain us with all that we need to function in whether it's a 3D world, a 4D world, a 5D world, or something else, that we can function simply by being, simply by being connected to the life in which we live. Call that atmosphere or whatever, but we live and move and have our being in something that is beyond us, and yet we are surrounded by it, if that makes any sense at all. So this has been my struggle, to create unity and peace where there has been misunderstanding. It's not that we've had disunity, it's that we misunderstand the interconnectedness of all things and of all life. We don't get it. And because we don't get it, we seem to be an anomaly rather than what would you even call it? I don't know what word to use. That's the opposite of an anomaly. The nature of things should be to love one another, to get along, to be at peace. But obviously, that's not been our experience. It's certainly not our history. And do we need to get back to the more feminine aspects of creation? I think so. I'd like to myself accentuate the positive, the feminine, the nurturing elements of human nature. It's in men and women. It's human nature, but it's the true human nature that isn't distorted and convoluted and twisted all out of shape. I'd like to see a world where we could fly the peace flag in every country, whatever that would look like. But that flags would merely be a symbol of diversity, but that the experience would be one of unity, where we could get along and be at peace with each other. Could we all find a peace flag somewhere in our hearts and in our lives? I hope so. Thank you for listening.